We begin now at the top of Daf Yud Beis and Aleph in Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 12a. The Gemara just finished discussing whether when a zav carries this kiss in order to protect himself from having his clothes become dirty. So the Gemara said that atzuli tinof, just saving oneself from dirt, that's not a normal way of carrying. That doesn't count. And the proof now, the Gemara is bringing a proof from a Mishnah which discusses a person putting a plate over a wall to protect the wall, we're about to say. So since you don't really desire to collect the water, or that rainwater, so that rainwater can't be machshir food to be mekabel tumah, because the idea is that in order to be machshir food to be mekabel tumah, it has to be b'chiyutan, it has to be some liquid that's nichole, that he wants. And so the Gemara says, shelo yilka hakosel, if the only reason you're putting the plate on there is that the wall shouldn't be ruined, Rashi says, shelo yilka dahainu atzuli tinof, that's saving from dirt. Lo chashuv lehach kafiyah, that's not considered chashuv. So eino b'chiyutan, it's not b'chiyutan. So therefore the Gemara wants to say we should compare the dinim of kiyutan with the dinim of carrying, of whether or not that's a significant way of carrying something. So the Gemara says, midami, is it really comparable? Hasam lo kaboy luhu lahani mashkin klal. In the case of the rainwater, you have no desire for that water at all. Of course it's not nichale. You don't want that. The whole point is to keep it away from the wall. Hacha kaboy luhu lahai kiss lekabule beziva. Here there is a desire to use this kiss. This pad is protecting the zav, so he does want the kiss at some level. So therefore you can't just say that it's the same thing and it's not considered a normal form of carrying. Rather, the Gemara says, Halo damya el seifa. Really, the case of a kiss is really more comparable to the seif of this Mishnah about chiyutan. Areva sheyara delaf lesocha mayim hanitazin vanitzafin einon bechiyutan v'shabesocha areza bechiyutan. Let's say I have a bowl and you have some water dripping into it. So the water that drips, that kind of splatters out, you don't desire that water, that's not bechiyutan. But any water that you collect, there is bechiyutan. The idea being that when you since you didn't turn the bowl upside down, clearly you did want to collect some of the water, and therefore it's bechiyutan. Let's just take a look at Rashi over here. Rashi says, Halo damia al karchachim lahechsher zroim basel edmu. If you want to compare our case to hechsher zroim, lo tidmei lahach, it should be compared to the following. Shiyar delav lasocha mishni mesachas machshirin hashnu yachar aseva da kofes akara. It's right after this kara case. V'hachi tanan areva shiyar delav lasocha hinicha shiyar hadlav lasocha mayim hanitazin vatzafim beshamim v'chiyutan v'esulam en v'chiyutan not l'shovcha elu ve'elu modim shein v'chiyutan umikol makom yesh l'shma mehach seifa. So that's just a quote of the Mishnah. Kedegarsinan besvarim nasna la'arei v'zu shiyar hadlav lasocha afa gav de'atzlei tinafu. Even though your primary reason of doing this, of having this bowl there, is to keep things from getting dirty, afilu hachi midelo kafa, from the fact that it's not upside down. That's the key. It shows that there's a chashivas that you want to receive this water. Anything that's besocha, anything in the bowl, is going to be considered chashiv. Same thing is true when it comes to otzah. You have been machshiv, you've made important this kiss to collect the ziva, to protect the clothing. Even though he doesn't want the ziva, obviously. We don't care about the hotzah you're doing on the ziva. We care about the hotzah that you're doing on the kiss, and there is a desire, at least somewhat, for that. So the Gemara says you can't compare it to that in order to say it's not carrying. Rather, Abai and Rava both say it's not difficult. Again, it was a contradiction on the previous daf. There was a contradiction in Brises whether or not it's considered carrying on a doraisa level when the zav takes this kiss. So the Gemara answers, Har Rabbi Yehuda v'Har Rabbi Shimon. Really, it's a machlokus between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. It's going to relate to the concept of malacha she'eina tzricha legufa. Taking a look at Rashi, Har Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar malacha she'eina tzricha legufa. So Rabbi Yehuda holds that if you do a malacha, in this case carrying, but you don't need the actual carrying, sheberitzono lo tasa. He doesn't need the main. His goal here is not to transport the kiss from one place to another. Same thing with the ziva. He's not trying to transport that either. Nevertheless, you're chayiv. So that's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. This is a classic malacha she'eina tzricha legufa. Rashi just explains the original machlokas b'hamatzniya gavi motzi hameis b'mita chayiv. The case is taking out a mace. But Rabbi Shimon poter, even though he's not nicha, he doesn't have any real desire to use the mace, so to speak. He just wants to take it out. So again, that's the original machlokas. Rabbi Shimon says poter, and that explains what's going on. Contradiction in Brises. Rabbi Yehuda says malacha she'ein tzricha l'gufa is chayiv, and Rabbi Shimon says malacha she'ein tzricha l'gufa is poter. Gemara now continues. Tanit Dvei Rabbi Yishmael. They taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael. Yotzei adam b'tfilin be'erev Shabbos im chashecha. A person's allowed to go out wearing tefillin on erev Shabbos with dark. So again, it's an issue. Maybe he's going to end up carrying these tefillin. Why is that not an issue? My time, what's the reason? Kevan damar Rabbi bar Rav Huna chayiv adam l'mashbesh b'tefillin kol shah v'shah kal v'chomer mitzitz. The Rabbi bar Rav Huna said that a person has to constantly touch his tefillin. It's a kal v'chomer learned out from the tzitz that the Kohen Gadol wears. Ma tzitz she'en bo ela azkara achas amar Torah v'haya al mitzchot tamid shelo yasiach daito mimenu. Just like the tzitz, which only has one mention of Hashem's name. Torah says you can't have any hesach hadas. Tefillin sheyesh ban azkaras harbe. Tefillin has many azkaras. Alachas kama v'kama. Certainly a person should not have any hesach hadas. Hilkach minkar dachir lehu. Therefore, he will remember that he's wearing the tefillin. There's no concern that the person is going to go into Shabbos and end up carrying the tefillin by mistake. Tanya will learn in a brayso. Chananya Omer Chananya says chayiv adam lamashmesh bebigdo erev Shabbos im chashecha. A person needs to feel around his clothing on Friday as it's getting dark. Again, to make sure he's not carrying anything. Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says hilchasa rabasi l'Shabbos. This is a great halacha for Shabbos. Rashi says, what does that mean? Hilchasa rabasi. What's a great halacha? Davar gadol yesh kan lahafrisha me'isur Shabbos. It's a great thing to separate him from the isur of Shabbos. Then the Mishnah said lo yefales kela v'chulu. So it said that a person should not use the light of the candle to delouse his clothing. Basically, you're going to find lice on your clothing and try to take off these lice. The concern is that he's going to tilt the candle. He's going to be over on a malach on Shabbos. Iboilu, they asked as follows: Lo yefales kelev biyom shema yarog v'Rabbi Eliezer. So one possibility is that the Mishnah means on Shabbos itself, we're afraid that he might end up killing these lice. The Tanya, and that would follow Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. The Tanya, we learned in a brayso, Amar Rabbi Eliezer, ahore kinna b'Shabbos ki'ilu hore gamol. One who kills a louse on Shabbos, it's the equivalent of killing a camel, which is forbidden. It's a malacha. So the whole issue here in the Gemara is going to be whether killing lice is a malacha or not. Is it considered a netilas neshama? Below yikra laor haner shemayata. And then the way we understand the Mishnah is there's two separate issues. When it comes to the lice, the issue is maybe he's going to kill the lice. Nothing to do with the light of the candle. When I explained the Mishnah, I said it had to do with the light of the candle, but that's only one side of this. So according to this possibility, that part of the Mishnah has nothing to do with the candle. And the second part of the Mishnah of don't read by the light of the candle, that's an issue of shemayata. That's an issue v'lo yikra lo raner shemayata. That's an issue that you might end up tilting the candle. So that's one way to understand the Mishnah. Odilma, or maybe tarvayu shemayata. Maybe the Mishnah means in both cases you shouldn't delouse the clothing and you shouldn't read by the candlelight because you might end up tilting the candle. So which one of those two possibilities is the best way to read the Mishnah? Tashma will bring a proof. Ein polin ve'ein korin l'oraner. It says you cannot delouse and you can't read by the light of the candle. The Gemara presumably thinks that it sounds like it all has to do with a candle. The Gemara says mi alima mi masis, and that's no stronger than the Mishnah. The Mishnah pretty much says the same thing, and we weren't sure in the Mishnah, so there's no reason why this would be evidence. Tashma will bring another proof. Ein polin l'orhaner ve'ein korin l'orhaner. Elu min halachos she'amru b'aliyas Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Garon. So in this one, it repeats the statement, so it certainly sounds like it has to do with a candle. It says, don't delouse by the candlelight, don't read by the candlelight. Shma mina, the tarvayu, shemayata, shma mina, you see that both halachas have to do with tilting the candle. Amar Rav Yudah Mar Shmuel, Rav Yudah says in the name of Shmuel, afilu lahavchin ben bigdo levigde ishto. Even if somebody is using the light of the candle to distinguish between his clothing and his wife's clothing, that is a problem. We're afraid you might tilt the candle. Amar Rava says, Lo amrun ela de b'nei Mechuzah. That's actually only true of the people from Mechuzah. Avol de b'nei Chaklisa meida yadi. The people who live in Chaklisa, they actually can easily distinguish between the husband's clothing and the women's clothing. Rashi here explains, B'nei Mechuzah mefanki v'lo avdi melachu v'gdeim rechavim k'shalisha v'tzrichim iyan. The people of Mechuzah, they were kind of picky people. They didn't do much work. And they wore these wide clothing like women wore, so you'd actually need to really use a candle to find your clothing, for a husband to find his clothing amongst the wife's clothing. But the people of not of Mechuzah, the people of Chaklisa, made dayodi shebigdei ha'anashim kitzarin shoskim misadas b'malacha. They would work in the fields. They had some shorter clothing. V'shal nashim rechavim bas batayad shalahen. But when it came to the women's clothing, the sleeves, those areas, they were wider, and so therefore it was easy to tell the difference. And the Gemara continues, even when it came to the Bnei Mechuzah, it was only by the older people that you would be able to easily tell, but by the younger people, I've said that you couldn't tell, rather, by the younger people you could tell. Rashi says, there, again, once again, the people who were older, they took more pleasure and they had wider clothing. Aval the Yaldas, but when it came to younger women, rather. So Rechavim Harbe, they're very wide. So in other words, when you had the elderly women, so the men's clothing and the elderly women's clothing were kind of similar because the older women had more shorter clothing. But when it came to the younger women, they were wider clothing and they had no resemblance at all to the men's clothing. So the Gemara says it just depends on how similar the clothing are, whether or not you're allowed to use a candle on Shabbos to try to distinguish. Taner Rabbanan, the Gemara now has a brisa. This relates back to the issue of the lice. In Poland, Rosh Hashanah mipnei hakavod. You're not supposed to delouse one's clothing in public space in the Rosh Hashanah. It's not respectful. Kayotze boam Rav Yehuda v'Yamri lo Rav Nechemya ein osen apiktoizen Rosh Hashanah mipnei hakavod. Similar halacha. You can't, this is somebody who they would eat something that would make them throw up. Sometimes when people were too full, or whatever was the case, they would want to make themselves vomit. So you can't do that in Rosh Hashanah. Again, it's not respectful. Taner Rabbanan, we learned in a brisa, hamafala as of molil v'zorek uvilvat shelo yarak. So the brisa says, somebody who's delousing his clothing, he can kind of roll the lice and throw them, but make sure not to kill them. Abashal omer notel v'zorek. Abashal says he could take them and throw them. Uvilvat shelo yimlo. But he shouldn't roll them because there's actually a concern. If he rolls it, he might come to kill it. Presumably what's going on here is that Abashal holds killing it as an Issa d'Oraisa. So he says you have to be very careful that you might end up killing it, so don't even roll it. Tanakama presumably holds it's only an Issa d'Rabbanan, so you're allowed to be molel, because even if you come to do it, it's only going to be an Issa d'Rabbanan at most anyway. Amar Ravuna says, halacha molel v'zorak. The halacha is that the person can roll it and throw them. Bezehu kevodo va'afila b'chol. And this is the honorable thing. And even in the weekday, this is what the person should do. This is how the person should do it. Take a look at Rashi over here. Rashi explains, Molel v'zorek v'Shabbos, Molel hatish kochan. The idea here is that on Shabbos, the reason why you're rolling it is you want to weaken the lice. Shelo yachzeru elav. They don't return to him. Uvevad shelo yimlol bedochek v'yarag. He has to make sure not to do it and kill it. Tesvir lehariga kina shavus. He holds that killing the kina, harigas kina, is only a derabbanan. Rav Abishol holds no, like Rav Elazar mechayev chatas, that there is a chayev chatas here. Hilkach gazrin and melila shelo yarg. Therefore, we say don't even be molel it because you shouldn't come to kill it. So what Rav Huna here is saying is that the proper thing to do is be molel and zorek, and it's proper cover to do that. Even in weekdays, you want to get these things off your clothing. Rabba mekatalahu, v'Rav Sheshes mekatalahu. So Rashi says, what does mekatalahu mean? Mekatalahu means hargan uv'Shabbos, means he killed him. He would actually kill them on Shabbos. Rabba would kill them on Shabbos. Rav Sheshes would kill them on Shabbos. Rava shadi luhu lekana demaya. Rava would throw them into basically a barrel of, like a bowl of water to kill them. Amar luhu Rav Nachman Levinse ketolin vashmeinan li kala disanvasi. So Rav Nachman would tell his daughters, kill them, and I want to hear the voice of my enemies as they're being killed. These lice he considered his enemies. Tanya will learn in a brisa of Shimon Elazar Omer. Rav Shimon Elazar said, Ein hargin es hama'acholas b'Shabbos tivri b'Shamai. You're not allowed to kill the ma'acholas, which is the same thing as a louse on Shabbos, according to Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel, Matir, and Beis Hillel say it's not a problem. They're not considered. It's not considered netilas neshama. It's not a real neshama. V'chein hayer Rav Shimon Elazar Omer mishum Rav Shimon Gamliel. Similarly, Rav Shimon Elazar says in the name of Rav Shimon Gamliel, Ein meshadchin es hatinokos la'ares. We do not set up younger people in order to get engaged. V'lo es hatinok lalamdo sefer. We don't set up a child to set up arrangements for him to be taught, ulalamdo umnis, and to teach him either learning or to teach him a craft. Ve'in menachmen avelim. We also do not comfort mourners on Shabbos. Ve'in mevakron cholin. We also do not do bikr cholim b'Shabbos on Shabbos. All these things we don't do. Divrei Beis Shammai, that's Beis Shammai's opinion. Ubeis Hillel matirin. But Beis Hillel holds that it is, you are allowed to do it. So Rashi explains what's the issue over here. V'chein, here it says like this, V'chein hayir Rav Shimon ben Elazar Omer. Similarly, Rav Shimon ben Elazar says, what do you mean similarly? Devahani nami pligi Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. It's similar in the sense that we're going to see a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Rav Shimon ben Elazar quoted a machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel by lois, and now he's going to quote a machlokas Rav Shimon he's going to quote a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel when it comes to these things, whether you can do them on Shabbos. Ein mishadchin b'Shabbos. You're not allowed to mishum imtso cheftzecha. So the idea is that you shouldn't deal with your own. You shouldn't deal with your own things. You should not deal with your own personal things. Well, Beis Hillel matir, and Beis Hillel allows it to kasavri because they hold cheftzecha v'lo cheftze shamayim. Your things and not the cheftze shamayim. So the idea basically is, according to Beis Hillel, these things that you're doing, they're not cheftzecha. It's not your personal business that's going on over here. According to Beis Hillel, these are cheftze shamayim. Cheftze shamayim is allowed on Shabbos. Trying to arrange a marriage for a person's children, trying to learn a craft, being menachem avel, all of these things are really cheftze shamayim. They're matters that have to do with heaven, and therefore Beis Hillel say, indeed, they are permissible. Gemara continues at the two dots. Tanu Rabbanon, we learned in a brisa. The brisa says, "Hanichnas levaker sachola," somebody who enters to be mevaker chola. Omer Shabbos hi milizok or refor kravolovo. He should say, "It's Shabbos. We're not supposed to be zoek. We're not supposed to ask bakashas, requests from Hashem, and the refuah should come quickly." Rabbi Meir Omer, Rabbi Meir says, "Yechola hi sheterachim." You should mention the fact that Shabbos itself should have a rachmanos. Rashi says, "Yechola hi sheterachim im techabdua." If we honor the Shabbos, milit tarba, then we shouldn't have tsar on the Shabbos. That's the end of Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We'll continue in the next video with Daf Yud Beis Amud Beis.